First, a brief excursion into anatomy. On the other side, we have the liver. We'll get to the kidneys a bit later. The liver is firmly attached by two distinct triangular ligaments at its lateral ends. Here and here is the midclavicular line. Right here, it reaches up to this point, the liver. Next is the falciform ligament. Right here, it then smoothly and quite effectively transitions and kind of supports this particular aspect of a straight line of the abdomen, but from the inside. And the coronary ligament, which attaches to the back. Right here. The liver does not actually touch the ribs, so everything that you truly need to do, you also take and carefully and completely separate it. Well, there's also the duodenum here, and it should be free. So when we also press on the ribs like this, kneading the liver, our costal arches as well, the liver has this property. It's similar to a sponge made of foam rubber. That is, a foam rubber sponge has volume. If you squeeze it in your hands, it seems to disappear, but as soon as you let go, it returns to its original shape. The liver has the same properties. And that's precisely why I carefully place my hands and then begin to gently, very gently squeeze it, just like this. Why do I even go in there at all? In this way, we push out toxic bile through the bile duct into the duodenum. The property of toxic bile, its bitterness, with the toxins it filters, it becomes even more bitter. This bile expels our parasites. In other words, it's a natural cleansing process. But pure bile is also produced, and pure bile is produced very efficiently. And surely you remember from school what a saturated solution is. When you lower a string into a glass of oversalted water, leave it overnight, and when you come back in the morning, crystals have formed on it. If you move this string into clean water, the crystals dissolve. So stones are ultra-concentrated dirty bile. These are your gallstones, it doesn't matter where they are, in the gallbladder or in the liver. That's why right now you're expelling toxic bile, but at the same time, clean bile starts to be produced very actively. And it's this clean bile that puts things in order inside, dealing with all these stones. And the gallbladder gets cleansed as well. But when the liver is clean, the blood pH also changes for the better. Because if the pH level shifts either significantly towards alkalinity or excessive acidity, then, well, this is already being pushed out through a very strict and precise protocol, we could potentially end up with problematic stones forming there as well. In the kidneys, either alkaline or acidic stones form. In medical terms, they're called either oxalates or oxalates. Therefore, by carefully and precisely changing the blood pH level, you can also effectively and completely dissolve kidney stones. The pH of urine also changes, and if there are stones in the bladder, they also start to dissolve there. That's precisely why this particular liver treatment is exceptionally beneficial. Sometimes very serious and incredibly painful stones form, which, as you work, they gradually start to break up and slowly move along. And the stone is so extraordinarily large that intense spasms begin, severe colic appears, as if a sharp piercing knife is cutting through. Such cases are very common, so sometimes the pain is so sharp here that you can't rest, can't relax, nothing helps. But here it hurts a lot, as if a knife is going through. But if we move over here, just next to it, it hurts a little less. Here, even less. And right here, it doesn't hurt at all. So she chooses the spot herself. Just like that, she takes it and presses like this. From those spots that are slightly painful, right here, she presses once and holds it. Hold it for about 2 to 3 minutes and the pain goes away. So here, the pain has lessened nowhere. She moves her hands again and presses again. And in this way, it's also without pain. As a result, she will reach the sharp spot, and where the strongest pain was, there will be barely noticeable pain left. And in this way, in 15 to 20 minutes, you can relieve these colics. How do I know? When I fell into the cellar, I had a hole like this. My liver was all messed up and coral-like stones formed. And in the same way, I had the same kind of colic. So I tried this on myself first, and then I did it for others. Otherwise, people say, "Oh, you need surgery." Yeah, right, as if you guessed it. So, when there is significant pressure on the liver, Pure potent bile is actively produced, which effectively dissolves any existing stone. The bile duct is not a rigid metal tube. Instead, it is remarkably flexible. Anyone who has thoroughly cleansed their liver with oil knows from experience that bilirubin stones often come out considerably larger than the duct itself. It easily expands and contracts, accommodating these changes. So you just take it and look, see? So
does that mean you can do it with gallstone disease?
You can do anything.
And what if there are liver diseases like hepatitis, as in this patient?
So the liver has two types of degeneration. Fatty degeneration. When there are more fat cells, the person gains weight. And fibrous degeneration, which happens after hepatitis. When you work with the liver, it feels as if a stone is being worked on. And here you just gently take the area, press firmly like this, and then hold it steadily. You must continue holding until a noticeable reaction starts, so you might need to press for about 5 to 10 minutes, but once the reaction truly begins, it starts to gradually decrease. Again, after hepatitis, this is exactly where prolonged work is needed, but not to the point where your eyes pop out, just within acceptable limits. Pain is always a sign of something wrong. Like right now, as I move away, my hand goes deeper and deeper. This can be done independently with the leg of Gallstones. Here she wraps her arms around herself in the same way. And you can press on these areas like this to massage the liver. That is, the liver cleanses itself. You don't need to drink oil, you don't need to do tubaja. By pressing like this, the liver cleanses itself. And if fibrosis is already more than 50%, can this help? Of course. You just simply take and gently give yourself the task to firmly press right here, like this, and then hold it. And the self-recovery system kicks in. So just this simple pressing, yes, and you can do it yourself for effective prevention. Next, blood circulation. In men, the prostate; in women, the uterus. If you put your hand here, the uterus contracts throughout life. That's its function. It's called the valvular venous system. There are 21 valves in each leg. And here the vena cava began. So to get the blood flowing, put your hand here. Count at least to 10. Ruma, ruma. Do you feel the movement? Anyone, even when you breathe and speak, always comes here. That is the uterus, microcontraction. If someone captured Soviet vacuum cleaners, how did we paint the ceilings? Bank. We attach it from below with our star, turn it on, it blows out, and from there it grabs and carries away. So here it is the same. When it works, it picks up venous blood, and venous blood is increasing. Next, the venous pump is the diaphragm. As I said, 4 centimeters up, 4 centimeters down, and it's just enough for the vena cava, just enough to pump here as well. That is to say, it effectively creates excess venous pressure here. The heart valve then opens, and venous blood subsequently flows in under significant pressure. But the diaphragm actually works much like a powerful vessel. And so the diaphragm consistently moves down, compresses when breathing in, and then moves up. It effectively pumps like this. This is how the pump works. The thoracoabdominal diaphragm is working. This is what we restore. The mobility of the diaphragm. We eliminate the prolapse of internal organs. We restore mobility. In men, the prostate. All of this is performed by it. It is called the man's heart. Yes, the man's second heart, because as much blood flows through it as through the heart. This is how it increases. And of course, remove all possible pinched areas.